Most people spend their whole lives obeying a voice they never chose. A voice that judges you when you wake up, scares you when life gets quiet, and reminds you of pain when you are trying to heal. It speaks so often. You begin to believe it is you. But what if the voice inside your head is not your wisdom, not your true self, but the hidden force stealing your peace every single day? Tonight, you'll discover the shocking Buddhist truth about that inner voice, why it controls your emotions, drains your energy, and keeps you trapped in suffering, and how to break free the moment you realize who is truly listening. The voice gains power because you mistake it for your true self. The first reason the inner voice controls your life so deeply is because you believe that voice is you. You do not see it as something passing through the mind. You see it as your identity. So, whenever it speaks, you listen as if your deepest truth has spoken. When the mind says, "You are not enough," it does not feel like a random thought. It feels personal. It feels real. It feels like a hidden truth about who you are. When it says, "You always fail," you do not treat it like a temporary sentence floating through the mind. You carry it like a fact. When it whispers, "Something is wrong with you," you begin to wear those words like a name. This is how suffering quietly grows. Not because thoughts appear, but because you believe every thought deserves trust. But thoughts are not your identity. They are not your soul. They are not the deepest part of you. A thought can appear in seconds and disappear in seconds. It can change with mood, fear, hunger, stress, memory, or one bad moment. How can something so unstable define something as sacred and deep as your true self? The clouds change every hour, but the sky remains. Storms can rage, thunder can roar, darkness can cover everything for a time, yet the sky itself is never damaged. In the same way, thoughts may move through your mind with noise, fear, and confusion, but the deeper awareness within you remains untouched beneath it all. There is a quiet part of you that notices the voice speaking. There is something within you that can watch fear arise, watch doubt appear, watch sadness pass, and still remain present. That silent witness inside you is deeper than fear, deeper than memory, deeper than pain, and deeper than any opinion the mind creates. The problem begins when you forget the witness and become the noise. You were never meant to become every sentence the mind produces. You were never meant to wear every passing thought like identity. You were never meant to call every fear the truth. The moment you pause and gently say, "This is only a thought, it is not my true self," something powerful begins to happen. Space appears between you and the voice. The chains start to loosen. The spell begins to break. You stop becoming every insult the mind throws at you. You stop bowing to every fear that enters your head. You stop carrying thoughts that were never meant to become your burden. And in that moment, maybe for the first time in a long time, you begin to feel the first breath of inner freedom. The voice rules through fear because fear steals your attention fastest. The second reason the inner voice becomes so powerful is because it knows fear can capture your attention faster than peace ever can. A calm thought may pass quietly through the mind and disappear unnoticed, but a fearful thought arrives like an alarm. It demands to be heard. It pulls your focus away from the present moment and drags you into imagined danger. When the voice says, "Something bad is about to happen," your body reacts before truth is even checked. When it whispers, "You will fail," your confidence begins to shrink. When it warns, "They are judging you," your peace starts to fade. When it says, "You are running out of time," pressure enters your chest and the mind begins to race. This is how fear steals control. It does not need to prove itself. It only needs to feel urgent. The mind learned long ago that danger must be noticed quickly. In the ancient world, this instinct helped human beings survive real threats. But now the same system reacts not only to real danger, but also to imagined danger, emotional memories, and future worries that may never happen. So the voice uses that old weakness. It speaks in what-ifs. It speaks in worst-case endings. It speaks in sudden panic. It speaks in invisible disasters. What if you lose everything? What if they leave? What if you embarrass yourself? What if life never gets better? What if this feeling never ends? And because fear feels intense, you mistake intensity for truth. But a loud thought is not always a wise thought. A frightening thought is not always a real thought. Urgency is not proof. Anxiety is not prophecy. Many people spend years suffering from events that never happen. They lose sleep over futures that never arrive. They carry stress for problems that existed only in the theater of the mind. The voice becomes powerful when fear is obeyed, without question. Buddhist wisdom teaches that fear often grows in darkness and shrinks in awareness. The moment you slow down and look directly at the thought, much of its false power begins to disappear. Ask yourself gently, is this happening now, or is the mind creating smoke where there is no fire? Return to the facts of this moment. Right now, you are breathing. Right now, you are here. Right now, many of the dangers in your head are only stories waiting for your belief. The more you practice pausing before reacting, the weaker fear becomes. The more you observe the voice without surrendering to it, the less control it has over your life. You do not need to destroy fear. You only need to stop treating every fearful thought like a command. And when that happens, the same mind that once ruled you through fear begins to lose its throne. The voice repeats old pain until you accept it as reality. The third reason the inner voice becomes so powerful is because it often speaks with the language of old pain. Many of the thoughts that trouble you today were not born today. They were formed in moments that hurt you long ago, then stored quietly in the mind until they became familiar. A rejection that broke your heart, a failure that embarrassed you, words someone spoke when you were vulnerable, a season when you felt unwanted, unseen, or not enough. The moment may have passed, but the mind kept the wound alive. Now the voice repeats what pain once taught it. You always ruin things. No one truly stays. You are not enough. You will be hurt again. Do not trust too much. Do not hope too much. Do not try too much. And because these thoughts have been repeated many times, they begin to feel true. Familiar pain often feels more believable than unfamiliar peace. This is how the mind traps people for years. It turns old experiences into present identity. It takes one chapter of life and tries to make it the whole story. But pain is a teacher, not a ruler. It may shape your memories, but it does not have the right to define your future. Just because you were hurt once does not mean love is impossible. Just because you failed once does not mean failure is your identity. Just because someone could not see your worth does not mean your worth was ever absent. The voice does not always lie with obvious cruelty. Sometimes it lies through repetition. It says the same wounded message again and again until you stop questioning it. If a false sentence is heard enough times, it can start to feel like truth. But repetition does not create reality. A scar can ache during cold weather, yet that ache does not mean the wound is still open. In the same way, emotional pain can echo in the mind long after the event has ended. The voice confuses echo with present truth. Buddhist wisdom teaches that suffering grows when we cling to stories that no longer belong to this moment. Healing begins when we see thoughts as passing conditions, not permanent facts. So, when the old voice returns, pause and ask gently, is this truth or memory speaking? Is this reality or yesterday trying to live again? Is this who I am or what I once went through? That question creates freedom. You do not need to hate the old pain. You do not need to fight your past. You only need to stop letting yesterday narrate today. There is a life waiting beyond the stories the wound created. There is peace waiting beyond the sentences pain taught your mind. And the moment you stop calling old pain the truth, the voice begins to lose one of its strongest weapons. The voice controls you most when life finally becomes quiet. The fourth reason the inner voice becomes so powerful is because it often rules you most when everything around you finally becomes quiet. Many people believe they need noise to feel alive, movement to feel normal, and constant distraction to feel okay. But often, what they truly need is distraction from the voice they have been avoiding inside. During the day, life can keep the mind busy. Work fills the hours. Messages demand replies. Screens keep attention occupied. Tasks pile up. Conversations continue. Music plays. There is always something to check, chase, solve, or consume. And while all of this is happening, the inner voice can hide beneath the surface. But then night arrives. The room becomes still. The phone is put down. The world slows. No one is asking for anything. Nothing outside is calling your name. And suddenly, the voice returns. Old regrets begin speaking. Unfinished fears rise again. Loneliness feels louder. Memories come back without invitation. Questions you avoided all day now sit beside you in silence. This is why many people fear quiet moments without realizing it. They say they are bored, but often they are unsettled. They say they need stimulation, but often they need escape. They say silence is uncomfortable, but often silence is only revealing what noise was hiding. The voice gains power in quiet spaces because there is no distraction left to compete with it. So people run back to noise. They scroll when tired. They turn on something just to avoid feeling. They stay busy even when exhausted. They fill every empty space because stillness feels dangerous. But stillness is not dangerous. Stillness is sacred. Stillness is where truth becomes visible. Stillness is where hidden pain can finally be seen. Stillness is where the restless mind shows itself clearly enough to be understood. Buddhist wisdom teaches that silence is not emptiness. Silence is clarity. It is the place where you begin to notice what has been controlling you without permission. When you sit quietly, you may hear fear, you may hear sadness, you may hear doubt, but hearing it is not failure. Hearing it means awareness has begun. What you can see clearly, you no longer need to blindly obey. So instead of running every time life becomes quiet, learn to remain. Sit with the discomfort gently. Breathe through the restlessness. Watch the thoughts rise and pass. Notice how they speak loudly. Then fade when not fed. You may discover that the voice sounded powerful only because you never stayed long enough to witness its weakness. Peace does not always enter with music, excitement, or achievement. Sometimes peace enters when you stop escaping yourself. The quiet room you once feared can become a healing place. The silence you once resisted can become your teacher. The empty moment you once filled with noise can become the doorway back to your own heart. And when you learn to be at ease in stillness, the voice loses one of its greatest advantages, because it can only rule the person who keeps running from the quiet. The voice grows stronger every time you fight it inside your mind. The fifth reason the inner voice becomes so powerful is because many people try to defeat it in the wrong way. They believe the answer is to fight every negative thought, argue with every fear, and wrestle with every sentence the mind creates. But this hidden battle often becomes the very thing that feeds the voice. The mind says, "You are not enough," and you begin arguing with it for hours. The mind says, "Something bad will happen," and you start trying to prove it wrong. The mind says, "You must fix everything now," and you enter panic trying to control what has not even happened. This seems wise at first. It feels like strength. It feels like resistance. But often it is only deeper entanglement, because whatever receives your constant attention begins to grow. Every time you fight with the voice, you treat it like an authority worth debating. Every time you chase every thought, You silently tell the mind, yes, this matters. Yes, this deserves my energy. Yes, this deserves my peace. And the voice learns something dangerous. It learns that if it speaks loudly enough, you will come running. This is why many people feel mentally exhausted. Not because thoughts exist, but because they spend their whole day battling thoughts that never needed a war. Imagine a stranger knocking on your door every hour. If you open the door every single time, speak with them every time, react every time, they will keep returning. But if you stop answering every knock, eventually much of the noise loses interest. The same is true inside the mind. Not every thought deserves engagement. Not every fear deserves investigation. Not every memory deserves re-entry. Not every inner sentence deserves belief. Buddhist wisdom teaches a gentler and stronger path. Observe without attachment. This means a thought may arise, but you do not need to climb inside it. Fear may knock, but you do not need to invite it to stay. Doubt may speak, but you do not need to make it your teacher. You can simply notice. There is anxiety. There is fear. There is judgment. There is the voice again. And then breathe. This simple awareness creates distance. Distance creates calm. Calm breaks control. Many people think peace comes when the mind becomes silent. But often peace begins while the mind is still noisy, because you stopped participating in every argument. The voice loses strength when it no longer gets your full attention. It weakens when it speaks and you remain steady. It fades when it realizes you are no longer available for every mental battle. You do not need to win against every thought. You do not need to prove yourself to the mind. You do not need to solve every fear the moment it appears. Sometimes the deepest power is not in fighting harder, but in refusing to be dragged into the fight at all. And when you learn this, something beautiful happens. The thoughts still come, but they pass faster. The fears still appear, but they carry less weight. The voice still speaks, but it no longer rules. Because the day you stop feeding the war inside your head is the day peace begins to return. The voice begins to fade when your attention returns to this moment. The sixth reason the inner voice loses power is because it cannot fully survive in the present moment. The voice in your head feeds mostly on two places that do not truly exist right now, the past and the future. It grows stronger through regret, replay, fear, prediction, comparison, and imagination. But when your attention returns to what is happening now, much of its power begins to disappear. The mind loves to travel. It goes back to old mistakes. It replays conversations that ended long ago. It returns to pain that already happened. It asks why things were different. It wishes you had spoken better, acted wiser, chosen differently. Then, without warning, it runs into tomorrow. It imagines failure before effort begins. It predicts rejection before anyone speaks. It creates disasters before the day has arrived. It tells you that peace will come later, safety will come later, happiness will come later. And while the mind lives in yesterday and tomorrow, it steals the life that is only available now. This is why many people miss their own lives. Their body is in the room, but their attention is somewhere else. Their hands touch the present, but their mind is trapped in time. Buddhist wisdom teaches that suffering often grows when attention abandons the moment. Peace returns when awareness comes home. Right now, in this moment, many of the problems in your head are not actually here. The argument is not happening now. The failure is not happening now. The future disaster is not happening now. The old embarrassment is not happening now. What is here now? Your breath, the ground beneath you, the sound around you, the rise and fall of your chest, the simple fact that you are alive in this moment. The present moment is often much quieter than the mind's story about life. This is why presence is healing. When fear rises, return to the breath. When regret returns, feel your feet on the floor. When thoughts race, notice the air touching your skin. When the voice becomes loud, look around the room slowly and name what is real. These small acts seem simple, but they are powerful. They bring attention out of illusion and back into reality. The voice weakens when it cannot drag you through time. It cannot control a person who keeps returning to what is true now. It cannot dominate someone who practices coming back again and again to this breath, this step, this sunrise, this sip of water, this ordinary sacred moment. Many people wait for a perfect future to feel peace, while ignoring the peace hidden inside this very second. Peace is rarely found by chasing tomorrow. It is found by entering today fully. The more often you return to the present, the more life begins to open. Food tastes deeper, music feels richer, nature becomes alive again, conversations become real again, your own heart becomes easier to hear, and, slowly, the voice that once ruled your days begins to fade into the background, not because it was destroyed, but because your attention stopped feeding it. You begin to understand something beautiful. This moment may be small, but it is real. This breath may be ordinary, but it is enough. This now may be quiet, but it contains the doorway to freedom. And when your attention comes home to this moment, again and again, the voice loses its throne, while your life quietly returns to you. Compassion silences the inner tyrant that harshness could never defeat. The seventh reason the inner voice begins to lose its power is because the harsh ruler inside you cannot survive where compassion is practiced. Many people spend years trying to heal themselves through pressure, criticism, shame, and self-punishment. They believe being hard on themselves will make them stronger. They believe cruelty will create discipline. They believe self-hatred will force change. But pain does not heal through more pain. The voice in your head often becomes tyrannical because it has learned the language of harshness. It speaks in blame, it speaks in insult, it speaks in impossible standards. It tells you that you must be perfect to deserve peace. It tells you that one mistake defines your worth. It tells you that struggling means weakness. So when you fall short, the inner tyrant rises. It says, "Look at you." It says, "You never change." It says, "You ruined everything again." It says, "Others are better than you." It says, "You should be ashamed." And many people believe this voice is helping them improve. But look carefully. Does shame create peace? Does self-hatred create wisdom? Does inner violence create lasting strength? Usually it creates exhaustion, anxiety, numbness, and deeper wounds. You become afraid of your own mistakes. You hide from growth because failure feels unbearable. You stop trying not because you are lazy, but because your own mind has become a place of punishment. Buddhist wisdom teaches a gentler truth. Compassion is not weakness. Compassion is intelligent strength. It is the medicine that harshness could never become. Compassion does not mean excusing harmful behavior. It does not mean refusing responsibility. It means responding to pain wisely instead of violently. When you make a mistake, compassion says, "Learn and continue." When you feel fear, compassion says, "You are safe enough to breathe." When you feel behind in life, compassion says, "Your path has its own timing." When old wounds return, compassion says, "This pain needs care, not condemnation." This changes everything, because the inner tyrant survives on resistance and shame. It feeds on the belief that you are only worthy when flawless. But when kindness enters the mind, the tyrant begins to starve. Imagine a child who is scared and crying. You would not scream at that child for trembling. You would not insult them for feeling afraid. You would kneel down, soften your voice, and offer safety. There are wounded places inside you that need the same response. Many of your worst thoughts are not signs that you are broken. They are signs that some part of you is hurting, and hurt parts of the self do not need attack. They need tenderness. The more gently you treat yourself, the less violently the mind behaves. The more patient you become with your humanity, the less control perfectionism has over you. The more warmth you bring inward, the quieter the cruel voice becomes. This is why some people change only after they stop hating themselves. They rest more deeply. They think more clearly. They recover faster. They begin again without drama. They become stronger because they are no longer wasting energy fighting themselves. Real discipline can grow from love. Real change can grow from understanding. Real peace can grow from mercy. So the next time the inner tyrant attacks you, do something unexpected. Do not join it. Do not repeat its language. Do not make its judgment your identity. Pause. Breathe. Speak to yourself like someone worth protecting. Say, I am learning. Say, I can begin again. Say, this moment does not define me. Say, I deserve patience while I grow. These simple words may seem small, but they carry immense power. They replace the atmosphere where suffering thrives, and slowly, the tyrant that once shouted inside your mind becomes weaker, smaller, less believable. Not because you defeated it with force, but because you dissolved it with compassion. Sometimes the strongest person is not the one who conquers others. It is the one who learns to become gentle with themselves. And when that gentleness becomes your way of living, the mind that once felt like a prison begins to feel like home. Freedom begins the moment you realize you are the one who listens. The eighth and deepest lesson is this: freedom begins the moment you realize you are not the voice in your head. You are the one who hears it. For many years, most people live as if every thought is who they are. If the mind says, I am broken, they feel broken. If the mind says, I am behind, they feel left behind. If the mind says, I will never heal, they begin to live as if healing is impossible. This is how the voice gains its final and greatest power. It convinces you that it is your identity. But pause for a moment and look carefully. If you can hear the thought, then something in you is hearing it. If you can notice fear, then something in you is separate from fear. If you can watch anxiety rise and fall, then something in you remains while anxiety changes. If you can observe the mind speaking, then you cannot be only the voice. There is a silent awareness within you that has been present through every season of life. It was there in childhood. It was there in heartbreak. It was there in confusion. It was there in moments of joy. It was there when thoughts were dark. It was there when thoughts were light. Thoughts changed thousands of times. Emotions came and went like weather. Opinions shifted. Fears rose and fell. But the quiet presence that noticed it all remained. That presence is closer to your true nature than any passing thought. The mind is movement. Awareness is stillness. The mind is noise. Awareness is silence. The mind is reaction. Awareness is space. The mind speaks. Awareness listens. When you forget this, you become trapped inside every sentence the mind creates. Every fear becomes personal. Every judgment becomes heavy. Every memory becomes a prison. But when you remember that you are the listener, everything begins to change. The thought may still appear, but now you see it as a thought. Fear may still rise, but now you witness it without becoming it. Sadness may still visit, but now it does not own your identity. This does not mean the mind becomes silent forever. Minds naturally produce thoughts the way rivers naturally flow and trees naturally grow leaves. The goal is not to stop every thought. The goal is to stop being ruled by every thought. This is true freedom. Freedom is hearing the voice and remaining calm. Freedom is feeling fear and still choosing wisely. Freedom is watching doubt appear without surrendering your worth. Freedom is allowing emotions to move without letting them define you. Buddhist wisdom points again and again to this awakening. Suffering lessens when attachment to thought loosens. Peace grows when awareness becomes stronger than identification. So the next time the voice says, "You are not enough," pause and notice who heard it. The next time the mind says, "Your future is doomed," pause and notice who is aware of the fear. The next time anxiety says, "You cannot handle life," pause and notice the quiet presence still breathing beneath the storm. That presence is not weak. It has survived every chapter of your life. It watched you endure what you thought would break you. It watched you heal from what once felt endless. It watched you rise after days you thought were final. The listener within you is steady, patient, and far stronger than the noise. The voice in your head may continue speaking from habit, but now it no longer sits on the throne. It is no longer king. It is no longer your master. It becomes only sound passing through a larger silence. And in that silence, you discover something beautiful. You were never the chaos. You were never the fear. You were never the shame. You were never the endless mental noise. You were the awareness that could witness it all and remain whole. This is why freedom begins the moment you realize you are the one who listens. Because the listener cannot be imprisoned by the voice. And once you truly know that, peace is no longer far away. It is already within you. So after everything you have heard tonight, remember this one truth with all your heart. The voice in your head was never meant to become your ruler. It was only a passing sound inside the vastness of your being. It may have spoken for years. It may have frightened you, rushed you, judged you, and made you question your worth. But it was never your true self. You were always something deeper. Beneath the fear, there was awareness. Beneath the noise, there was stillness. Beneath the confusion, there was wisdom waiting quietly. Beneath every storm of thought, there was a peaceful sky that never broke. Maybe you forgot this for a while. Maybe life became heavy. Maybe pain made the voice louder than your own inner truth. That happens to many people. But forgetting who you are is not the same as losing who you are. Your peace was never destroyed. Your worth was never removed. Your might was never gone. It was only covered for a season. So tonight, stop fighting every thought. Stop chasing every fear. Stop calling every dark sentence the truth. Let the voice speak if it wants to speak, and let it pass if it wants to pass. You do not need to follow it anymore. Come back to your breath. Come back to this moment. Come back to the quiet strength inside you. Come back to the self that exists before thought and beyond fear. There is a calmer life waiting for you the moment you stop living under mental noise. There is freedom waiting for you the moment you stop bowing to every thought. There is peace waiting for you the moment you remember that you are the one who listens. And one day soon, the voice that once controlled your life will become so small, so distant, so powerless, that you will wonder why you ever feared it. Then you will smile gently, because the storm did not win, the noise did not win, the fear did not win. You did, not by force, not by fighting, but by awakening. And from that moment on, your mind will no longer be your prison. It will become a quiet place where peace can finally live. If this message brought even a little peace to your heart, take a quiet moment and write, "I am not the voice," in the comments. Let it be a promise to yourself. And if someone you love is silently struggling with their own mind, share this with them gently. Sometimes, one reminder at the right time can lighten a heavy heart. Subscribe to Golden Lotus Wisdom for more calm, healing, and timeless Buddhist wisdom to help you reclaim your peace, protect your energy, and awaken the strength already within you.